At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought.
I'm doing everything I can. Now stop calling me Shirley.
The center has to be at least 3 times bigger than this.
All right, it's Sincerely Unqualified this week for the NBA playoffs. We're going to do a sports episode. We're going to do a specifically basketball movie, but then we're throwing it in a classic. We're throwing in one of the modern classics of our generation. We're talking Dodgeball and Semi-Pro. Semi-Pro is probably the lowest rated movie we did, other than like our Christmas movie episode.
Those were not great, but I'm gonna be honest, some of those were just like, what's going on here?
Holiday,
it's just Christmas. Yeah. And Kevin's big Christmas guy, so we had to do some Christmas movies. Of course.
We did 8 Crazy Nights too.
Yeah, hey, everything. Everyone's involved. But Dodgeball is so different from Semi-Pro, but Semi-Pro itself, I wouldn't say is bad, but I would say is not the best. That's what my firm stance is, not the best.
We'll talk about it a lot. I think if you are a comedy fan, if you're listening to this podcast, let's assume that you are. I think for like Winnie and I mean, for people who have now been in this world, immersing themselves in all these comedy movies, the cast itself and the kind of roles that more minor players get to play in this, I think it's fantastic. Little housekeeping off the jump. The reason that we're doing this, like I said, the NBA playoffs, we are recording while the Sixers are playing a Game 7. So I'm going to be honest with you folks. Going to be watching that game, though. It's going to be on next to Witty on my screen. So if you see me, like if I'm talking, really paying attention to something, if you're watching, that's what I'm watching, in case people are wondering.
Yeah, and the Sixers you're going to see Kevin's mood slowly deteriorate over the next hour because the Sixers are going to fail him. Yeah. And he's going to be so disappointed. The one hope, Ben Simmons ripped a 3. Oh, it missed. Sorry, Kev. Yeah. Have fun with that.
The thing is, he wouldn't shoot a 3.
No, he just did. But moving on, I
thought I had it live on YouTube TV. All right. Just letting you know that, I'm going to be a consummate professional. The mood will not change. We'll keep the energy up. Both Winnie and I are a little tired right now. But, hey, we're giving it to the folks. We're going to have a good episode. Before this great episode of Sincerely Unqualified, we need to let you know that summer's coming. Are you ready to unveil your beach bod? Yesterday, I had my shirt off for a little. I was like, you know what? It's going okay, I guess. I don't know. We're trying to look like Kumail, but it's a slow process. So maybe next summer.
It doesn't happen overnight. It just, you look and you're like, what did I do to myself? And it's every summer. I'm like, no, something different's going to happen. No, nothing different happens. It's the same.
I'm in that stage that I'm finally able to lift weights again. Like we said, trying to get my Kumail stuff. And I feel like I look like a 1940s boxer right now, which isn't good. People with the mustaches,
hey,
the people
guy.
How we talk, stick them up, pal.
Hey, put them up, buddy.
So that is it's not exactly ideal, but it's where we're at. And if you are going to be showing off your body this summer, you're in luck because our friends at Manscaped just launched their 4th generation performance package, which includes the Lawnmower 4.0. Complement your summer bod with a trim from the leaders in male grooming. The sun is shining and calling your name, fellas. Join the 2 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped and get ready for hot guy summer by going to manscaped.com for 20% off and free shipping with the code UNQUALIFIED.
Hot guy summer. Here we go. I don't know.
1940s boxer summer. Brawl. I think more brawler as opposed
hot
to boxer.
Hot guy summer, see? Hot guy summer's coming, see?
It's the Manscaped Hot Guy Summer. Brought to you by Manscaped.
Coming for the full package, see? Manscaped Hot Guy Summer. I feel like,
honestly, you said package, and this performance package 4.0, we I think our first read for them, we did the 3.0. You just get so much for your money there. You get the trimmer, you get the crop reviver, the toner, the deodorant, you get everything. Nice, I believe, briefs, t-shirts. There's just so much that it's offered for. And you know what? When you use our code, not only do you make us happy, but you save money. You get 20% off and free shipping with the code unqualified at manscaped.com. That's 20% off and free shipping with the code unqualified at manscaped.com. Escape the shrubs and weeds this summer and shine with Manscaped.
Yes.
So I'm not gonna lie, I'm excited to talk about semi-pro.
So am I.
I might like it more than you.
Look, I liked it a lot, and when I was a kid, or like when I was probably 13, I feel like it was huge. Like everybody was doing the semi-pro, like fucking underhand shot and everything like that. But now rewatching, I mean, for me, for some of the movies, like because we've been rewatching a ton of movies. This one doesn't hold up as well for me in the rewatch versus another movie that we watched. Like The Other Guys will never fail as a rewatch. Like I'll watch that 7 nights in a row. This I don't know. It's just, it didn't hit the same.
I think that what you're saying with the rewatchability, I think you're right. And I think it comes down to the plot. Like, what we were saying before, or I guess what I was saying before was like, when you have Will Arnett and you have Matt Walsh in bigger roles than, and I mean, I guess obviously Will Arnett, he's known to have actual big roles in these movies, but in terms of movies that we've watched so far, he's only really had cameos or small parts. So in terms of getting to see Will Arnett just being this like drunk asshole kind of role, and then Matt Walsh being a priest or who's like, also a referee is so funny to me. I really enjoyed it. I just think like, during the middle, when they tried to build out that plot with Woody Harrelson, I think it got a little slow, and I think that's probably what lost people that weren't like big comedy movie fans.
The cast in this movie is unreal. The fact that Woody Harrelson is in this, and he's just like not Woody even just an auxiliary character. Like it's just fucking Woody Harrelson. You're like, wait, am I seeing this correctly? Because he's got the hair and everything. You're like, is this actually what's going on?
Looks
mean,
good.
Aside from him, you have Woody Harrelson, Will Ferrell, Will Arnett, Andy Richter, like Rob Corddry, Matt Walsh. You have the
Andre 3000, baby.
Andre 3000 is in this goddamn movie. You have
it was really good.
David, what's his last name, Kevin? Because I'm not gonna say it again.
Wait, I actually don't know who you're talking. Oh, David Koechner.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not
you were
saying
thinking Koechner.
Yes, I was. This cast is unbelievable, and I wish that I don't want to say that the script could have been better, because it's not like I'm a writer. I don't know what the hell I'd be doing, but the script could have been better. I feel like there could have been so many great moments in this movie with this cast. Just let them go off, do their thing. Like, the premise is awesome, but you lost me at some points.
Yeah, I think that's the issue, and I think it can come down to the script. I think you're right by saying that. It's like, they tried to do something based off of a real thing that happened, the ABA and NBA merger. So it, also being a basketball fan, it is interesting, but it also was like, it was about the merger. It was about Woody Harrelson's love interest. It was kind of like a 70s period piece in a way, just because that's when the merger happened. But I think trying to tackle all those things and not really developing too deeply and understanding the fact that it could have been just like we talk about, it could have been one of those ones that was like a series of sketches in each of these scenes. I think that they probably tried to legitimize the plot too much, and maybe it was just kind of like a little confused at what it was trying to do. But I mean, there's obviously gold in it. When you have this cast, there's going to be gold in that.
Yeah, no, there are bits in there that I think could have been bits and been so successful. Like, if you put some stuff on SNL, it would have blown up. If you did some stuff like on its own, it would have been awesome, like you were saying. But I just don't think that it worked altogether. There were so many awesome opportunities for things. And like, okay, I'll just say it. The bear was very bit heavy. Like, that was the biggest bit of them all. But it was hilarious. And then you have like...
keep going.
The concept of, okay, the 4 teams that are the best go to the NBA. Like, great. Let's expand on that way more and not so much focus on, like, Woody Harrelson's character a little bit, or, like, just do different things. Like, don't, because I feel like it went in 6 directions and they were trying to highlight all 6 stories versus having the main plot and then the B plot. They were trying to do 6 A plots, and you were just like, whoa, where the fuck are we going here?
Yeah, and I honestly almost think that it being based on, like, for them having quote-unquote source material with the 4 teams, I think that it almost lent it to be worse in that way because they were just like, yes, this is what happened, 4 teams. And then you're right, they didn't really expand on that. And like, it kind of wasn't important. It didn't turn it into like an actual sports movie. Like, no. I think that this was very sports adjacent, I would say.
It was like, we have a sport, now let's do something with that idea. Like, yeah. I think it's really cool when movies, even about sports, whether it's a comedy, whether it's anything like that, I just appreciate like what Adam Sandler does, where if it's a movie about sports, you're actually seeing the sports played. Like, just say maybe not The Longest Yard. They're probably not actually playing football in that. Maybe we'll look into that one in the future. Yeah. But, you know, for all the basketball in those movies, you're actually playing. And I think it's interesting to see, like, I don't know if they really played. I know Woody Harrelson and I think Will Ferrell's not bad, but I know Woody Harrelson was in White Men Can't Jump, which is like a classic basketball movie.
Yeah.
I love that I feel like they could have done a lot more with the actual games versus having those be a crutch.
It's worth noting that we're basketball fans, so maybe we're looking for that more than other people. But in terms of like what it's kind of presented to be, it almost is. It's kind of presented to be a sports comedy, and then in reality, it's kind of a comedy that's based around the merger of the ABA and the NBA. Like that's generally what it is. So. When I think the slowness kicks in when it tries to go a little too deep into Woody Harrelson's love interest. I think that's essentially like our gripe with the movie, but really, I mean, there were good bits in there. The bear was hilarious. Jackie doing all these things to try to save money, like the fact that he got like that. I mean, this is basketball centric humor, but him trading Woody Harrelson for a washing machine or something or whatever the machine was, that's hilarious in itself. I liked the. This one was definitely like what we were talking about. It's just a bit contained in a different movie or a sketch contained in a different movie. The when they have the gun, like they're all just hanging around having a guy's night playing poker, and then you're just waiting for it to fire the whole time. Yeah.
I was waiting. Like, I mean, I forgot if it actually was, but you knew the second you saw that gun. They're all like, "It's not loaded." You're like, "All right, good. Just shoot somebody already."
It's like the funny thing is, they weren't like trying to. They were trying to pretend like it wasn't going to end up not being loaded. No, they were the whole thing that they were saying like horrible things about each other, like bang bang, like we're not pretending to do this, like, or they said we're like pretending to say things we don't mean. Yeah, we're like just like airing out all their grievances at each other. I think that was a funny way to do it.
That was a big bit. That was great. It's like. If you split this up into a YouTube series, you split this up into something like that, I think it soars. I think it does incredible. I just don't like. Obviously there's parts, but when you watch it with a dodgeball like we watched this week, it's hard to compare, and it's hard to see like a classic versus this movie which is fun. It's fun. I had this idea in my head when we were thinking semi-pro because the last time I've really, really watched it is a while ago, but I know so many people have named their rec league teams like the Flint Tropics, and so many people have like the jerseys that
I was gonna say, you know what?
ELE.
I think that the jerseys themselves. I think that the jerseys themselves looking cool and it being a Will Ferrell movie, keep it in the zeitgeist more than it otherwise would have, because you have all the frat kids at Halloween wearing the Flint Tropics jerseys.
Exactly.
It literally just down to the simple fact that it's a basketball jersey.
Yeah, but do you think that that's overhyping the movie so much more than it's deserved?
I think that like in a weird way, I think that makes it live separately. Like I don't think that I don't think when people put on the Flint Tropics jersey, they're necessarily thinking like, oh, this movie was hilarious. I want to rep the fact that I like this movie. I think they're just like, this is a Flint Tropics jersey and it looks cool, kind of.
Yeah, that's what I think too. I think they're two separate entities at this point. It's basically like people who appreciate the movie or have watched it, and then people who know Everybody Love Everybody, the jersey's cool, I'm gonna rock that because Will Ferrell. Like Will Ferrell comedy movie jersey that, I mean, gotta be honest, the colors are so cool.
No, like, it's an awesome looking jersey. Yeah, absolutely.
Their team colors slap, and that was 100. Like I would rock that jersey, but I can't because I'm a person now. But
Bring it into the office.
Yeah, like Flynn Tropics is just okay. Well, maybe go back to school, bud. But I think overall, like, this movie did what it's supposed to do. In being a comedy, being like a turn your mind off. I think this was like the most turn your mind off movie of all time. Especially when you get to kind of the middle zone where you're just
This
wondering.
was another, like it's a Sunday afternoon or Sunday like mid morning, knock out some laundry and throw it on in the background. You know,
Even
you're gonna
like-
laugh a few times.
Even you're napping, like you want a Sunday midday nap. You're on the couch. You don't
That's
want
a
to.
good way to sell this movie. Everyone go out and watch it. Nah.
Look, no, I'm just saying, like, okay, if I'm sitting on the couch, it's not a
know what
movie
you're
that
saying.
I would intend to fall asleep during, but it's a movie that if I did, I'm not gonna miss the plot and need to rewind. It's one of those where it's just like, oh, we're here now.
You're not
like, what's
exactly
happening?
going back to like try to fill in plot
Yeah.
points. Be like, how did that
It's like,
happen?
oh fuck, wait, he's back on the team now? What happened? Like, need to Wikipedia this shit. Like, no, it's fine. Just let it roll.
It had its bright spots. It had its, overall this sentiment. I actually don't think that we even directly called out the Rotten Tomatoes scores. Normally we do this in the beginning, but it did get a 22% critic, a 38% audience. I think that's a little...
It's a little intense.
I will
will
say, for the average moviegoer, I understand it. For a comedy fan, I think that there are going to be a lot of people that just find the humor in it, and a lot of people that really do like this movie. I mean, it's not going to be a top 10. It's not going to be an instant classic, but it's an enjoyable watch, and I quite enjoyed watching it.
There should be a comedy-centric rating service.
Oh,
similar to
sincerely
Rotten
unqualified.
Tomatoes, where we have people who are genuine comedy fans rate the movies rather than seeing a critic's perspective or something like that. Because people who like comedy movies and people who enjoy this kind of stuff look at these movies so much different than people who hate them.
Oh, yeah.
It's so skewed by people who just watch it and go, this is not funny. Like that's the same people who review a restaurant when their chicken is slightly undercooked and yell at Yelp for like 6 years. Or just like, my chicken was not crispy enough. Fuck this place. Like, get off. It's a movie. If you don't enjoy it, then just leave it alone.
Yeah, that's why I honestly think that we have this weird niche of just comedy movies, because they're comedies. Like I understand if there's a movie critic, I understand why they're gonna watch Semi-Pro and be like, what is this nonsense? Like, I don't expect them to. So that's why the Sincerely Unqualified Cinematic Universe, we've been talking about movies a bunch. We're gonna make the website now. That's what we're gonna do.
Let's do it.
You guys all just listen to the birth of an idea. So we're gonna need to get to it before we release this episode.
Pure creation, which is gonna. We only have a few days to design an entire website.
No, yeah, we'll be good. We'll
be fine. I mean, it's super easy. Like, we have GoDaddy or some shit, right? Remember when GoDaddy used to make their commercials super sexual?
Now they went super woke.
Yeah.
I didn't talk to you about this. They did some crazy woke campaign, and I was like, you used to hire Danica Patrick and throw water on her wet white t-shirt. You can't just do. I mean, I guess you can, because they did it, and I guess they're still around, but it's just the hypocrisy of. We're not going to get into this.
I don't understand. It's like them and Carl. I think Carl's Jr. still does it, where they just hire models and like sit on a Mustang and eat our burgers.
There you go. This disgusting
and
burger.
Then Carl's Jr.'s will tweet like, "What's going on in the world right now is horrendous." It's like, relax, bud.
Hang on. I just read that tweet while I saw your commercial of a model in a bikini eating one of your gross hamburgers, dude. Get lost.
That's literally the Bo Burnham special encapsulated in one sentence. Carl's Jr. does not stand with what is happening. Meanwhile, Carl's Jr.'s new Baconator, blah, blah. Not Baconator, you know what I mean. I don't know anything on their menu. But let's go into some favorites quickly about Semi-Pro so we don't drown in this topic.
Let's just do characters quick. We'll just do favorite characters, and we'll move on.
Mine from both movies, I gotta be honest. From Semi-Pro and from Dodgeball, it's both gonna be one of the announcers. So For this one, it's Will Arnett because he was like an alcoholic, cigarette addicted, just crazy person who's commentating on these. And I think he is incredible in everything he does, down to the Reese's commercials and all the way back up to this. I think he just kills every role.
Yeah, I feel like it has to be Will Arnett in this.
Yeah.
Like it absolutely is. A close second, though, I gotta give it to Matt Walsh, especially just because we always talk about how Matt Walsh is only a cameo player, and he technically is in this, but it's like the most extended cameo, and the fact that he is a priest and a ref in this game, and then also like like just his one line, the corn dogs, Jackie, corn dogs. Like,
It's so good.
it's way too good not to mention him. I mean, his performances in this is hilarious, and his character is hilarious. So that's why, like, just talking about it. I mean, we had to kind of talk it down, but you know, thinking about things like that make me go like, this movie really was fun to watch.
Oh yeah, and Matt Walsh and Will Ferrell going back and forth, like, I will burn down your house.
Yeah, it's a freaking treat to watch if you're a comedy fan. But we'll move on to some inexclusive exclusives here. So I mean, we mentioned it that this was based on real life with the ABA and the NBA merging, but except for the Flint Tropics, all the teams shown were actually the uniforms and the team names that were in the real ABA. So it obviously we got those. We were just talking about the jerseys, you know, the the ones that everyone has because they look awesome. They were the only ones that were fake, and like the real ABA, not all of the teams that made it to the end of the 1976 season actually did make it into the NBA. So there was a little bit of truth to that when they were talking about the merger. They were talking about the 4 teams getting in, and the drama there actually was pretty true to form.
Yeah, I mean, I can see that being pretty dramatic. Like, hey, we're merging with the NBA. Oh, that's awesome. And you guys are getting cut. Sorry. Thank you. Like,
that's so tough.
Yeah.
But there also really was a semi-pro basketball team in Flint in the 70s. So they were called, funny enough, the Flint Pros. And they...
so creative.
Exactly. So they took semi-pro from the pros probably. Or just the fact that it was semi-pro and
semi-pro.
I am dumb.
Yeah, that was good.
We're rolling. They played in the Continental Basketball Association during the 1972-73 season, and for a few games, they the 1973 to 74 campaign before, like, basically no one really showed up, and it forced them out of business.
Well, that's trash.
Yeah.
The pros were not so pro.
No, I guess not. In Flint, Michigan.
Yeah, I mean, basketball town through and through. You know what is?
It's what everyone says, yeah.
Very clearly a basketball town. But in the 1950s, some of the players started grabbing balls in midair and dunking them. So Casey Jones and Bill Russell teamed up and did the alley-oop several times while they were at the University of San Francisco in the mid-1950s. So that is, you know, kind of where the alley-oop stems from. You know,
it's
and we saw
we saw Will Ferrell's mom.
Yeah,
his black mom, by the way.
Yeah, what was just out of left field?
Yeah.
Like,
just an added, like, just a nonsense bit. But yeah, so it did not come from Will Ferrell's, I guess, comatose state. It came from Bill Russell and
exactly
Casey Jones.
They just performed some combination of moves to put the ball in the hoop.
Yeah.
No. So, and Semi-Pro was the last film that New Line Cinema released before the company was bought out by Warner Brothers. And Ferrell noted that it would be his last sports-related movie, which sucks. But he also did the thing where he played for, I think, what was it? Like 2 baseball teams in one day? Was it 4 teams?
Was it the Are you talking about when he, like,
well,
was
so
dissed
he
up with the
played,
Dodgers?
He played for a lot of different teams in one day. So I want to see how many games he played in one day. So I know he played in a lot of baseball games in one day. He, like, flew in a helicopter from one stadium to another.
Huh. Yeah, I mean, so before he had, I'll let you look it up, but
I think it's 10.
Oh, wow.
Ferrell takes the field. Oh, he takes the field in 5 Major League Baseball training games, playing all 9 positions for 10 different teams in a single day. Fucking
That's
insane.
just like, it's just Will Ferrell just being like, yeah, I feel like doing this. And people are like, all right, I guess we'll like film you do it.
Yeah, I remember watching it, and it's hilarious because he would go play for one team, go into the, like, after one half inning or after an inning, he would go into the other team's locker room, switch on their jersey, and play for the other team, and then fly in a helicopter to another field, another game. It was crazy.
Yeah, Will Ferrell, big sports fan, big Dodgers guy, USC, obviously went there. He's a fan. Did Talladega Nights and Kicking and Screaming, just another few sports movies, but this one was his last and will be his last, apparently. So it starts out, and like I said, it kind of seems like a 70s period piece at some point. So Jackie Moon has the song Love Me Sexy, and it largely came about from Will Ferrell's first table read of the script. So Kent Alterman, the director, sent the producer Nile Rodgers a recording of the improv that Will Ferrell did that day, and Rodgers ended up building a song off of that improv, and that's kind of like where it was born. And another thing about his mom, they said that he stole it from her. A really odd thing to steal from your mom, by the way.
Yeah. Just, I don't understand. There's so much that went into this movie that's just like, what is going on here?
It's fun stuff. So there was a scene with Will Ferrell and Woody Harrelson, one of those ones that they teamed up on. And it was after Woody Harrelson made all of the team run until they puked. And Will Ferrell said that he was not able to puke. He like never puked before. In reality, like the real Will Ferrell, he suffers from pyloric stenosis, which is a condition that causes frequent vomiting as a baby. So he actually had to get surgery on it. And we've actually seen the scar from the surgery a lot. Like it's in a lot of movies. He has it on his stomach up there. It kind of, it's kind of crazy knowing that it's from that.
Yeah, that is. I mean, now understanding where it's from is huge. I mean, it's like a little Easter egg throughout.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah. And in 2008, Rocky the Grizzly Bear, who we mentioned wrestles Will Ferrell, actually not so funny, pretty tragic, killed Stephen Miller, one of his trainers and a cousin of the stuntman doubling for Ferrell by biting him on the neck. And this is why my number one fear is bears, because they're monsters and they're gigantic and they're massive and they will claw you and eat you and they're scary, and bears are not for me. But
shout out the Lost Tapes.
Shout out bears being bad. So this accident actually happened after the movie shoot was over. They were shooting promos at Randy Miller's bear kennel. So I think having a bear kennel is probably not a great idea in general.
You chose a certain path in your life that unfortunately things happen, I guess. Very unfortunately. I don't want to make fun of that. We're not making fun of that.
No, not at all. I mean, I'm terrified of bears even more now, honestly. Like, that's what came of this. It's just I'm terrified of bears. That's all. I mean, let's move on to Dodgeball, because that...
a little dark fact, but I mean, it's very interesting, at least.
Yeah, it's horrifying, but also interesting.
Yeah. We'll move on to Dodgeball, a 2004 movie. It got a 71% critic score, 76% audience. It was written and directed, the directorial debut of Rawson Marshall Thurber, which is quite a name.
That's a name.
Quite a name.
My boy's got a name.
Yeah.
That is
it. Obviously, maybe not obviously, but it stars Vince Vaughn as Peter, Christine Taylor as Kate, Ben Stiller as White Goodman, Rip Torn as Patches O'Houlihan, Justin Long as Justin, Alan Tudyk as Steve the Pirate. Justin and Steve are on the Dodgeball team. And then we have our announcers, who I'm sure we'll mention a lot. Gary Cole as Cotton McKnight and Jason Bateman as Pepper Brooks. Pep.
It's so good. It's so good. I mean, they are probably two of my favorite characters in the entire movie. And
they're fantastic.
Doesn't even compare. Like, their stuff going back and forth, their banter, their whole thing. Like, that's right, Cotton. Say that to this day. They're incredible. I think everybody in this movie is incredible. But
I agree. So like obviously the cast is it's pretty stacked. Funny seeing certain people in certain roles in this movie, like Alan Tudyk playing a pirate and Jason Bateman playing that Pepper Brooks character, which I'll say right away, by the way, I watched this movie a bunch when we were really young. I mean, 2004 movie. This was like a childhood movie for a lot of people in our generation. And I did not rewatch it for years until just today. I did not realize that Pepper Brooks was Jason Bateman until today. It just never crossed my mind. Dude, when I was 12, I wasn't like, oh, sick, Jason Bateman's playing an interesting character for what he normally plays. I haven't watched this movie in 10 years.
It's the guy from Ozark.
Yeah. Ozark's a show that's going to come out 10 years from now.
Yeah, I know this as a fact.
But no, I mean, obviously Jason Bateman, he's an improv guy. He plays a lot of different characters, but this is just so far out there for like this. We've talked about him before for this very specific, unique character from what he developed. It's funny seeing him in this like unorthodox, funny role.
Yeah, no, I think that it's so different and so nice seeing him as this, because I feel like where he started, he didn't like, I know the story is like he didn't graduate high school. He was acting since he was probably 3 on a show. He was like, went Teen Wolf, everything like that. I feel like he's done a lot of comedy, a lot of serious roles, but seeing him just play this dumb guy, because he's always like the quick-witted kind of, like smart but dick guy. Seeing him as like this just straight dumb character was probably so fun for him to do.
Seeing him as a guy with a dodgeball with the flames coming out of it, that too is awesome.
Such a great detail for that character too.
Oh yeah.
And they're on ESPN the Ocho, so I think that he just recently got into dodgeball because he's on the Ocho, and then was like, I'm gonna get a flaming dodgeball.
Yeah, like I need
on
to.
My neck.
I gotta rep this game.
Yeah, it makes that.
It's a deep love for the game.
Okay, so another thing that this movie does great, the fact that people to this day, you can say ESPN, the Ocho, and everyone knows what it's from is incredible.
It literally made ESPN start doing the Ocho every now and then to like show obscure sports.
It's so good.
It's like that's something that the cultural impact. We talked about this for I forget what other movie. But the cultural impact that Dodgeball had in terms of getting things like ESPN 8, the Ocho, and like just certain phrases into the zeitgeist, it's kind of astounding. Like this was a huge deal back in the day.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I forget. There was one line that Ben Stiller said, and it was like,
nobody makes me bleed my own blood is one that I think.
That's one of them. Then there's one that's like, pass me the ball, something.
Oh, Blazer?
Yeah.
Yeah. Just people saying Blazer. Ball me Blazer.
Is that it? That's
big
it.
one.
Yeah.
I mean, it's perfect for Ben Stiller and then Vince Vaughn as well. Very, very on character with these. These have great castings. We'll have a little exclusive to talk about that later. I've been doing that the last few episodes, and I think I overdid it the one episode. That's my one I'll say.
One episode you were just like, oh, we have something about that coming up
4 times. I bet people were watching it like, dude, just say it.
People, they just you're allowed to give. I do love that the one thing about the Ocho too, they were like, if it's almost a sport, we've got it here.
Yeah.
That's so good.
The thing that I think I want to talk about, honestly, with Dodgeball, if we were being critical of semi-pro for very good reason, in terms of like the plot, and I do like the plot of this movie. I mean, it's called a true underdog story. I like how they weaved sports into this too. What I would say is it starts slower than I remember. It kind of takes a while to get kicking for me.
Well, it takes it. So like I think the first 30 minutes are basically just okay, establishing the premise. Like, here's the people, here's what they do. Like, we see Vince Vaughn's gym, and then we see Ben Stiller's gym, and then we find out Vince Vaughn doesn't have people pay, and then there's the trouble. The lawyer comes in, and it's not till like 50 minutes in where the lawyer like actually says she can play dodgeball or something like that. You don't really see her as a main character before she jumps in, because you see her as like, okay, give me all your paperwork, everything like that. It was more of just, okay, let's get to that point. But I mean, it was still great where it's like, you got to establish all those characters. I do think that the one thing I know now and I see is that you can see where it's going. Like, and I was wondering in my head, so with the amount of debt, it's like, oh, you owe $50,000. And when I was watching, I was thinking to myself, like, is it more believable to have a number like 50,000, or is it more believable or too over the top to be like, oh, you owe $52,617? Like, would you prefer in movies to have, obviously depending on the movie, but would you prefer that
man.
Clean?
Wait,
okay,
hang on. I'm not letting you just make this argument like, yeah, no, I would really like it to be specific down to the cents.
No.
I know what you're saying, but no,
saying,
I
I'm
want
not saying
50,000 in the script 10 times out of 10, Woody. 10 times out of 10.
I know. I was just thinking for my, like, because seeing all these movies and everything like that, you get to a point where you're like, oh, of course it's $50,000. Like, oh, and the tournament just happens to pay $50,000. It's just like, but it's.
I sit there to question their debt to equity ratio, though. Like, come on.
I'm not nitpicking this. It was just one thing I wanted to mention that I thought of.
I know it's one of those things. No, 100%. I get what you're saying. It's one of those things that we've just accepted the fact that we allow things to be too convenient, and I'm okay with it just because like you don't need to be that smart about everything. Yeah, but I do get what you're saying.
I like that's my one like comment about the movie. That's not good. That's literally my one thing.
Honestly,
I'm watching. I'm like,
mine really would be. It is more of an indictment on it. Is that I get what you were saying with all of the buildup, and obviously that's necessary. I think that either they could have shortened it somehow, or it could have been funnier. Like it's a slow build, and it's not too comedic of a build. But then I think like once you hit the actual, well, actually, I guess when you hit the qualifier with like the Girl Scouts playing against them, it kind of picks up there, and then like during the tournament itself when they're in Vegas, the girl with low grade beaver tranquilizer, very good. But yeah, I mean, like even that I would almost consider part of the slow thing, because I look at this movie as like the whole intro, let's get established period, and then like once they get to Vegas and they start playing these games, I think that's a very, very fun part of the movie, and it completely redeems it, like, from being a little slow. And maybe it's just a rewatch thing. Maybe I already knew everything, and upon the first watch, we actually did need that much. But
yeah, I think that it's also having, like, watched this movie a lot, and just understanding, like, where it's going to be, where it's going to go, because you think of it in this way of like, this movie's incredible. And when you do that, even with whatever movie it is, you forget that there's always these parts that are not incredible. You know, like not every part of a movie can be the best scene, and not every part can be what you're hoping for, the best things that we always think about, the quotable lines. So, you know, going back, obviously there's going to be those scenes that run a little longer and, you know, that draw on a little bit more, but I think overall they do a good job balancing it, because like the tournament, like you said, is awesome, and I do like that they cut it short. Like they do it quick. They do 1 or 2 people getting out montage, each game, just rip a montage, call it a day.
I agree, and I don't know, because when I rewatched this, actually, I was not sure what to expect. I wasn't sure whether that I was going to like it or I was going to dislike it. I actually could have seen me disliking this. Overall, I enjoyed it though, because I do think that when they're in the tournament, it gets so fun, and then at the end, it almost like this feels like it's just about dodgeball, but this feels like more of a true sports movie than Semi-Pro does, because like it's kind of the whole thing in the end is that one-on-one matchup between Vince Vaughn and Ben Stiller, which is honestly like it gets you enthralled. It's like it feels like it's a high stakes normal sports game, and it's this dodgeball tournament.
You feel you went through all the highs and lows of all like a basketball game currently that you're seeing, or 95, 92. But
I know. I've literally, by the way, if people are watching, they're even like when Winnie's talking, sometimes I've been visibly reacting to some bad stuff that I've been watching. But keep going.
He's getting very upset, and we're seeing he's going through the highs and lows right now.
I'm a consummate professional.
Have you
is what
seen
I
that
am.
video? Have you seen that video from, I think it's like fucking Riverdale or something, where it's like, oh, I dropped out of school at 13, and one kid's like, oh, so you haven't gone through the major highs and lows of high school football.
Oh, yeah, high school football. That's funny. What I will say actually about this movie, we'll bring it back to Dodgeball.
Yes.
This is it is something that for whatever reason I didn't think of before in terms of like when I was thinking about writing the script. It's an underdog story, like I said.
Yeah.
And Dodgeball is the very quintessential thing to be like, nerds are scared of it. Jocks love it because they like picking on nerds. Like literally the game of Dodgeball. We saw it in Freaks and Geeks even. It was huge in Freaks and Geeks. That was a big scene to be playing like Dodgeball. So it's very on the nose that they picked this to be the underdog story, if you get what I'm saying.
No, I do. And I think that it's good because, you know, it's the perfect game for an underdog who can actually come out and rip it and win. Like, and for them being those losers and those, you know, this group of people who are obviously not very, you know, athletically inclined, we'll say, coming out and beating like the gym, like the obvious, I think it's the jocks, just everybody who's huge, like setting off the lunk alarms, all five, like just having them beat those people was huge. And I think that, I mean, it is the perfect underdog story. If they picked another sport, if they picked any other sport, like a wiffle ball or some other stupid stuff, it wouldn't have hit the same, especially because Dodgeball, you literally, the whole point of the game is to throw something as hard as you can at another person.
Yeah, and it's a gym class thing that like everyone had to do growing up. So it's a very classic trope.
Why do they make us play Dodgeball? I mean, it's so fun.
I think it's
I will say,
honestly, it probably is low equipment needs. Like you just gotta you have a court and you have some balls and that's it.
True, but there's also the fact of like, you know what's gonna happen. Like certain people are gonna get targeted. It's gonna hurt.
In the face. Yeah, I mean I don't think we ever really had the experience. Like, sure, there were people that didn't want to play and like hit in the back, but I don't think we had anyone like throwing balls at them. That's what I'm saying. It's like this 70s trope that like even in Freaks and Geeks we saw that it was like
Did you have those like rubber balls or did you have those kind of foam balls?
Oh, I think just foam ones actually.
We just had the foam ones too.
Yeah,
so you
maybe
didn't,
that's what they changed.
You didn't knock somebody's head off.
Every now and then though, someone will accidentally get hit in the face. You know, like it's kind of unavoidable. So maybe they stopped it now from even when we left. But
that's probably. I mean, the foam balls are fine, except they're not
This was
fun
a huge deviation from the movie.
like, it's about Dodgeball.
Yeah, this is what we do over here, folks.
Yeah.
That was good, healthy Dodgeball talk. Not about the movie, about the game. But yeah, I mean, in terms of it coming back around, I think that it makes it so worth it in the beginning just because, like, you're really feeling it. It really does the game well. Like the game meaning the championship game. Like it feels like it could be a high stake like Hoosiers movie. And you're watching Vince Vaughn and Ben Stiller wearing a toupee win a dodgeball game. It's very interesting.
It makes it's so much better than, you know, just I don't know how to describe it. It makes you feel like you're involved and you have a stake in this.
Exactly.
Like you have a stake in their winning. And I don't know. I think the cast is perfect for that too, because just the group of people that they've compiled for the Average Joe's team is literally I think it's a good, just like average people, literally just how coming together to do something. Just full. You mean you couldn't get a more average bunch of people?
Yeah, you're right.
Literally, I don't think you could. The whole subplots of each of them too are so interesting.
Like the fact that they picked Gordon's wife to be a mail order bride for like no reason other than for him to, like, her to laugh at him when he gets hit in the one game. Or I guess he gets angry and he keeps him alive because his wife is cheating on him or something.
Exactly. That's the only reason. And then, you know, having the other guy hooking up with like the Russian Globo Gym girl.
Yeah.
Who's just she's literally Frida Kahlo. Like he's just going off with her.
Big unibrow gal.
Huge unibrow. And then I just love like the cheerleading thing too with Justin Long. I think Justin Long, if you think, I don't know, was he in any of those like Step Up movies? Because I feel like he definitely should have been after that. Like I feel
that should have earned him a casting. At first I thought you were asking like an honest question. I was like, I think so.
I don't think so either. But honestly, he's got like I think there's a lot of movies that I didn't know Justin Long was in, and then you see it and you're like, oh shit, really? Like
what?
I feel like he's got. Well, he was in. Okay, well I didn't want to go off about this movie because it kind of messed me up. But it's a movie Tusk.
Okay, Tusk,
and it's a horror movie. Yeah, not for me. But
I got it. Okay, yeah.
But yeah, no, I think everybody in this does a great job. I think Ben Stiller steals the show. Like in this movie, and then like his role is very similar to that in Happy Gilmore, where he's kind of that crazy person with the mustache who talks like, oh, it is, you know, the very controlling. I think it's funny to see that character, but in different lights. You know, like one's a psychotic control freak, the other is doing the same, but at a gym.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah, exactly. At a gym, by the way, and I think that we could probably wrap up talking about it, unless you have a lot more. We were talking numbers before, and something that drove me crazy, but something I was like, why didn't they just like make the numbers a little different? Is that somehow this insanely huge, popular Globo Gym, publicly traded company,
4 million?
5 million. He was able to control share. Like, what?
I don't understand that.
Not that I care at all, but that was one that I was like watching and I was like, they could have picked a different, like you were saying, 50,000.
Yeah,
why don't we make it 100K? And then it could have been 10 million. And I'm like, all right, at least it's 2 digits.
Publicly traded company. It's just like,
what kind of literally, there's probably 5 million worth of equipment alone in the gym.
Buys the ownership share for 5 million. Like, come on, what are you doing in this gym? Is it just a It's just a front?
You would know. You would know.
Laundering front. Yeah,
not laundering. I'm saying valuation. When he's a big shot around here, folks.
Yes, sir.
You want to go on to favorites?
Let's do favorites. Yeah. So I said before, my favorite character is going to be one of the announcers, and it's Jason Bateman.
It has to be.
That's it. That's right, Cotton. Let's see how it plays out for him. Like anything he said, I was laughing at. Just simple as that.
You know what? Then I'll take the sidekick. I'll go Gary Cole because I think that he is able to be good because Gary Cole plays the straight man, and we'll give respect to the bouncing off of. Do you want to go on to lines or
yes?
So you can go first. I'll let you go.
Okay. Yeah. Well, my first one was That's Right, Cotton. Let's see how it plays out for him. Just so good. I say that to this day whenever I can. Such a great line. Yeah,
that's one that those lines from Jason Bateman are ones that you keep in the back pocket and you just every now and then throw it out there. So mine is going to be from Lance Armstrong. And it's, well, I guess if a person never quit when the going got tough, they wouldn't have anything to regret for the rest of their life. Then he goes on, but good luck to you, Peter. I'm sure this decision won't haunt you forever. Especially because he's like not a good actor. He's just sitting there saying it like very like genuinely, I guess.
Yeah. Just very candidly like, oh, okay. Yeah. I love it, the little cameos from people who clearly can't really act.
Yeah.
Just, they're in there just because somebody's friends with them. Like, hey, my next one is from like when they're getting dressed for the first dodgeball game. You hear the announcer in the background, and I just heard this line for the first time, and I was dying, and it was just like, dyslexic players will not be allowed on the court.
Yeah.
Like, what does that mean?
Yeah, that was fantastic. So one that just kind of threw me off that I thought was funny, that I mean, like, it's not classically funny, but I was just like, how did he write that? is when Ben Stiller's talking to who was actually his wife, but the girl he's trying to get, and she wants Vince Vaughn's character. Says, I get it. You caught the scent of a lesser stag in your nostrils. Pity.
Yes.
A lesser stag is something I was like, what?
Lesser stag. He was just like that's his kind of thing for this movie. That fits very, very perfect.
Definitely. Very on character.
A lesser stag.
Yeah.
You want to go into inexclusive exclusives?
Yep. Yeah, absolutely.
Let's rip it. Everyone also, before we jump into it, just say sorry to Kevin.
Yeah.
It's been a rough day.
Yeah. The Sixers did not deserve to win, whatever. So we'll go on to inexclusive exclusives here. I will be, keep it up. Consummate professional. So the
energy.
The writer-director Rawson Marshall Thurber. So what I mentioned before when I said we'll talk about this later, the whole underdog story, the nerds versus the jocks, he actually, when he was thinking about the movie, he wanted to pay homage through movies like Revenge of the Nerds, and then he also brought in Rocky and Bull Durham. So I think that's why we have this underdog story, but it's also based around sports, and why we were saying that it almost fits the sports narrative more than the semi-pro. Sorry, semi-pro is what I was thinking. And then also, according to him, the roles of Peter, White Goodman, and Justin, he had Vince Vaughn, Ben Stiller, and Justin Long in mind, respectively. So, he knew exactly what he wanted right away, and then actually got these actors in the roles. And Justin Long was actually chosen because of his role in Galaxy Quest in '99. He liked it enough that he wanted him right away.
It's a great movie, too. Honestly, we should talk about that in the future.
Yeah.
But Justin Long, a little bit about him. So his eyebrow was actually cut open by the first wrench that was thrown at him, and all the wrenches thrown were made of rubber, but the first one was harder than all the others. And according to some of the cast member, the hardest part of filming the dodgeball scenes was not flinching when they knew the ball was about to hit them.
That's literally natural reaction. That's biology. You're supposed to flinch when something comes at you.
that's just human nature.
Yeah, exactly.
You're going against millions of years of evolution.
Acting
for a movie scene.
Yeah.
Hold it together. Hold the line. But Ben Stiller broke 3 cameras in succession filming one scene, and even hit his wife, Christine Taylor, in the face once with a dodgeball, which is kind of a dick move. But if you're going to do that to anybody, it's good that it was your wife.
I don't know. I think that's a tough thing to do to your wife. I think that they said that Ben Stiller said it ruined their relationship basically for a week. He was like, we were on the rocks.
You did it on purpose. You know you did.
Yeah. Yeah, but I mean, hey, there were real dodgeballs, and they had to think about just take after take getting hit.
Yeah.
That's kind of crazy.
Tough.
Yeah.
That would suck, honestly. But you do what you got to do for a great movie.
Acting.
Acting.
Ben Stiller and Christine Taylor obviously were married, and they actually had an 18-month-old baby while they were shooting this movie to look after. So Christine Taylor was so exhausted from taking care of the baby that she was sleeping kind of between takes. She would just go sneak in a quick nap. I don't blame her at all.
No, not at all.
This is a fun one that I'm not even kidding. When I watched it, I thought of it, and I went to look it up to see if it actually was. And so there is a video playing when Ben Stiller is going to do something to himself with a slice of pizza, and the voice coming through is actually Patton Oswalt's. If you rewatch it, you can tell right away.
He's got such a distinct voice.
I know. And he also voiced the video clerk on the answering machine, which, by the way, what a product of the time. Not only a video rental thing, but an answering machine playing through. But that was him as well.
Those are, the video rental. These movies are now late. God, remember when you had to return things?
Couldn't imagine. Could not be me.
So, Norm Macdonald, the GOAT, can be seen in some of the Globo Gym scenes, and he's in one of the Globo Gym commercials where he's in the background working out, and at one point he's talking to some girl who's working out too, and it just looks like he's hitting on her in the back, but
Probably was. Probably was.
Hey, sweetie, what are you doing?
He's probably like throwing some zingers at her.
There's this bee. I love Norm, like his
Norm's
stuff.
Awesome.
Yeah. And another cameo was Chuck Norris. And he was kind of reluctant at first to make a cameo in the movie, and his only scene was shot in Long Beach. So geographically, this was kind of problematic for Chuck Norris because he was in LA when they asked him to do the cameo, and he said no at first because it was a 3-hour drive to Long Beach.
By the way, he lied about that. It's not a 3-hour drive. Even in peak traffic, I don't even think it would get up to that.
Yeah, I'm thinking 3 hours seems absurd.
But that's an over-exaggeration by our guy Chuck there. Depending on where he is in LA, like maybe he's whatever.
Big city, but not that big. And Ben Stiller called him and kind of begged him to reconsider, and he's like, Chuck, please, you got to do this for me. And he said, my wife said he should send a helicopter, and that's what happened. And Chuck Norris didn't read the screenplay. He just did the bit where he stuck his thumb up, and that was
So he just is like, hey, send a helicopter
Literally
to Chuck
a helicopter.
Norris. Chuck Norris got on it and then just lifted his thumb. And what I was gonna say, we forgot to talk about that when we were just talking about the movie. Talking about like lines like "Balmy Blazer." Thank you, Chuck Norris. Thank you, Peter. Like that is an iconic. For our age, when Chuck Norris jokes were at the height of their existence, we got inundated with that.
So good. And then David Hasselhoff had a cameo too, where he was in it and he was like the German team's coach.
So funny.
And that was last minute addition because the stunt coordinator revealed that he knew Hasselhoff and was like, you want to be in this? And Hasselhoff's like, yeah.
Yeah, sure.
So he
I'll
was
just yell at someone in German and then he has the I love
the
how
picture.
before we saw the framed picture and then you see that he's actually coaching them and he's like, you're all like, what does he say? You're all shit or something, and just throws it at the ground.
It's so good.
At the end when they're like, Peter wins, we're all happy. Cotton says, "Do you believe in unlikelihoods?" Which is obviously probably the Al Michaels when the United States beat Russia and the Miracle on Ice saying, "Do you believe in miracles?" Yes. I think they think that that's a little nod to that. Do you believe in unlikelihoods? That's pretty funny.
Which is pretty good.
Yeah,
I do like that.
And then, so obviously, we were talking about video rental and voice machines or answering machines, and that's a kind of a product of the time. Another product of the time would be how people actually watch these movies. So, on the DVD version, it actually contains an alternate ending where, and obviously, you can watch alternate endings on YouTube or whatever now, but there's an alternate ending where White doesn't actually step over the line. The movie just ends after they say they go home with absolutely nothing.
They lose the gym. They just go home with nothing.
Yeah, and they tested that on people. They were like trying to do an endgame situation, like so they screened it, and people were just like, "No, we're not happy about that."
Hey, man, that kind of sucked.
Yeah, like as much as it's supposed to satire sports movies too, and like be a funny movie, like we were saying. You kind of want you gotta
have the good, like they just end it on a good note. You never want people to leave a movie and be like, well, fuck.
Yeah.
Why, that sucked.
Unless it's Endgame. But
or Inception. People are just
Infinity War, I guess.
What just happened to me? But
the other quick, we'll do a little addition here because we're talking DVD tech. Apparently, whenever Ben Stiller's character would snap his fingers, if you pressed enter, it would go to another video that Ben Stiller filmed. So like there are multiple times in the movie where he snaps his fingers, and if you were on your DVD player or whatever, if you would press a button, it would immediately go to him, like when he was fat or something, be like, "Hey, you found me," or something like that. Yeah, it happened like 5 times throughout it, I think.
You found me. Yeah, that's so good.
Hey, you did it. That's
Welcome
such
back.
good DVD tech. I love it.
Yeah, that's hilarious.
We can go on to This Week in Comedy here. I was not able to check out the episodes yet, but it is worth noting that Dave season 2 is out,
back,
and we're happy about it.
We are. Dave season 1 was awesome. Season 2's kind of throwing me for a loop already a little bit. I think I gotta watch, and not in a bad way.
Yeah,
not in a bad way at all. I really like it, and they were really good. It's a different vibe than season 1, but it's a good vibe.
So I think that season 1 ended on a different vibe than even like the first 3 quarters of it was. I think that it was very good throughout, but I really started enjoying it and really got invested in it in the last, like, I think just 2 episodes, which sure, I mean, it's a season finale that happens. So what are you saying with like how it threw you through a loop?
Well, I don't want to like spoil anything.
Yeah, no, I'm saying like no spoilers, just like give us the gist, sell us something.
Well, it just starts out, and there's obviously now he's kind of trying to break it as the star, and it starts out and he's just in Korea just filming a video, and it just goes from there where he's just kind of now at this next level and just going from that point and trying to figure it out and trying to create an album and drop an album because people are now waiting. And it's just a little bit where you see like, oh, his other friend who's making beats, who played by Taco. Yeah, he's awesome. It's kind of just like, I don't like being a dick now and everything because he's making beats for people.
Not spoiler, but
exactly.
So basically, he's at a different point in his career. He's bigger time, and he's learning to deal with that. Okay, so it's less of an origin story and now more of like how he actually deals with it, at least for these first 2 episodes.
And then, so Andrew Santino's podcast, Whiskey Ginger, just had Gata and Lil Dicky on it, which was hilarious. So I love Santino so much. Santino. Like he is the glue of this show, I will say. He is the glue that holds the comedic backbone together. Dude, he was in Breaking Bad. Or no, that was Bill Burr. No, was Santino in it?
No.
I think Santino had like a scene. I think he had a scene or something.
I don't think so. He has been in stuff, but yeah, I mean, shout out Santino. Fantastic comedian. Dave, funny show. It sounds like it might be taking a little turn. Maybe it'll come back to some normalcy after these first 2 episodes. But they were saying very genuinely that they really thought that this was going to be even better than the first season. Which the first season, this show is. I only know this because Santino said it on the podcast, but it is the most watched FX comedy property of all time.
Which beats The League. The League was on FX too, right?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, huge shoes to fill with season 2. I bet that they're going to do it. I bet they're going to make it awesome. This Week in Not Comedy, Loki, first 2 episodes out as well.
Great. We're really fucking great.
Dude.
I'm ready for episode 3.
I know. It's going to get nuts. It's going to be so awesome. It's already so enthralling. I like that they're spacing it out, but I also,
I want it all
hate
now.
that they're spacing it out. Yeah, we've been now, like, we've grown to just expect things all at once. Where, I mean,
especially the Marvel stuff, like, it's just release it all now. Like WandaVision was just release it all now. Winter Soldier, Falcon and the Winter Soldier, release it all now.
Like, so much more legit when they don't. Also, This Week in Not Comedy, I just watched. So you know how you get all those commercials when you watch live sports that you normally don't see. I saw Black Widow's coming out in like 2 weeks now.
What?
Black Widow's out July 7th, I think. I mean, we're gonna be. That's gonna be my first back in theaters movie, honestly, because like a Marvel movie was something like that, and it's like the first proper movie from Phase 5, July 9th.
That's and the Eternals. I'm hyped for.
Oh, the Eternals is gonna be awesome. And also that is why Kumail was jacked. So
yes, sir.
I'll have to be jacked by then. But a ton of awesome stuff coming out from Marvel. Obviously, the TV shows and everything. July 8th, you can get in theaters. I'm looking at them right now, actually, and I have a lot of awesome options that I am going to do. So be ready, folks. We're excited. Hey, guess what? Not sure what we're doing next week, but we're gonna figure it out.
Surprise, surprise. We don't know. Neither will you.
Yeah. So we will get out, watch Dave. It's gonna be a lot of fun. It's gonna be a funny show. And if you're into the other stuff, Loki, awesome.
Yep.
Look out for it.
We're here for it all. And any
then
recommendations
I
you
think you
have,
should leave.
send them our way.
Yes.
I think you should leave season 2.
Coming out.
Wait.
I think we already talked about it. But
yes, sir.
we're gonna wrap it up here. I'm Kevin.
I'm Winnie.
And we'll see you at the next episode.
Adios, Sixers.
Okay, buddy.
Yeah.
I buddied you.
Okay, buddy.